Hey everyone, it's Bethany from Bethan Books and welcome back to this book nook. Today I am coming at you guys with all of the fantasy books that are on my want to read list. So this includes them on my physical TBR on the bookshelf that I haven't read, as well as the ones that I have added to my Goodreads want to read fantasy list. Now there are over 100 of these. It's a bit ridiculous. I'm trying my hardest to not keep adding, but the reality is fantasy is one of my favorite genres, so it just keeps piling up and I can't keep on top of it. So I'm filming this video to share with all of you guys the massive list of books that I want to read, with the aim of being able to look back in a couple of years and think, yes, I have ticked off so many of those. Now, in order to keep this video as short and fluid as possible, I am not going to be going into what each book is about. I'm just going to be sharing the book titles, the authors, and if there is something specific to say about it, then I will give a little quick sentence or two snippet. But since, as I've already mentioned, there are so many books on this list, I'm just going to whiz through them. So let me move to the side so editing me can put in the book covers over here. So, speaking of number one, I have Rick Riordan's The Sword of Summer. This is book number one in the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard series. Next up is Fire Study by Maria V. Snyder, and this is book number 3, the final book in the original trilogy of the series. You might have seen this one before. I wanted to try read this in May, but I just didn't get around to it, but still one I want to finish. Next we have J. Kristoff's Dark Dawn. This is book 3 in the Nevernight trilogy, and I actually just finished book 2, so I threw book number 3 on this list. I then have Eragon, which you would have actually seen in my latest haul. This is a book I picked up in high school and remember reading, but don't remember much about it, and it's a series I really want to revisit. Another Rick Riordan book is The Lost Hero. This is book 1 in the Lost Heroes of Olympus series. Sorry, just the Heroes of Olympus series. From my own collection, I have Gumaho. This is a Wicked Fox kind of retelling where the female character sucks souls from men to survive, and I'm just so into that. And this is written by Kat Cho. If you want to hear more about these books that I'm pulling off my shelf, I'll leave a link to my haul because I do delve into what each book is about in more depth over there. And another Rick Riordan one, this is The Hidden Apollo, which is book number 1 in the Trials of Apollo series. We then have The Diabolic. This is written by S.J. Kincaid and is a standalone with sci-fi elements in it. We then have Diana Gabaldon's Outlander, which is book number 1 in the Outlander series. And I have picked this one up admittedly before, but the size of it just freaked me out, which is quite a habit of mine. I often get freaked out when books are over like 600 pages. Pierce Brown, Red Rising, book number 1 in the Red Rising saga. I'll be completely honest, I cannot remember what this is about, but it's on my list, so we're just going with it. We then have The Life of Pi. This one is written by Jan Martel, and I remember watching the movie of this one quite a few years ago, and I've always just wanted to read the book since. We then have Harry Potter and the Cursed Child parts 1 and 2, as well as what's it called? Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And I just want to recap that I do not support what J.K. Rowling has said on Twitter. However, I do believe that it is the Harry Potter fandom themselves who make Harry Potter and that world of Hogwarts as fantastic as it is. And also note, I bought these secondhand, so I wasn't making sure I was giving J.K. Rowling my own money. Next up is Samantha Shannon's The Bone Season, which is book 1 in the Bone Season series. Next up, we have The Host by Stephanie Meyer. This is one I've had on my shelf for years and years since I was back at high school, and I remember lending it out to a friend before I actually read it myself, and I actually kind of doubt that this is my own copy. I've got a really bad sneaking feeling that this is actually a high school friend's copy that I never returned or forgot to return. I don't know the story, but it's on my shelf now. Christina, if you're watching, is this yours? But yes, it's one I want to read, especially as I am planning on doing a Twilight reread like everyone else before Midnight Sun comes out. Oh, I never turned on my fairy lights. Look guys, I added fairy lights to the bookshelf. I don't know. Hey! Okay, alright. Continuing on, we have The Power. This is by Naomi Alderman. And I remember, I think, Books in Lala reading this one in a reading vlog or something, so I added it to my list. We then have the graphic novel Saga Volume 1. This is by Brian K. Vaughan. Hopefully I'm enunciating that correctly. Next up is Claire Legrand's book called Furibon, which is book 1 in the Imperium series. Next is Tony Adeyemi's Children of Blood and Bone, which is book 1 in a duology, I believe. We then have Laini Taylor's Spicy Little Curses. I absolutely love Laini Taylor's reading style, and when I googled her, I realised that this is one of her books I hadn't read, so that's why it's on my list. This is also the same for her book, Goblin Fruit. Next we have Leigh Bardugo's King of Scars. This is book 1 in the Nikolai, is it a duology? I'm not actually too sure. And this follows the happenings after the Grisha, if I've got the right author to trilogy here, the Grishaverse trilogy. And I remember loving Nikolai, and so I wanted to pick this book up, and this is another one I've borrowed from the library multiple times, but I don't know, I think I had put up for myself, and then I'm really scared that I'm going to dislike what actually happens. But anyway, I'm going to get around to it one day. And this is actually the same kind of story for the next one, which is Call Down the Hawk, which is book 1 in the Dreamer trilogy, written by Maggie Stavater. Next is Susanna Clarke's Piranesi. This is a relatively new release. If it's not released yet, it's coming out pretty soon, that I want to pick up. This is the same story for Naomi Novik's A Deadly Education. And then the next book on my list is Midnight Sun, as I've already mentioned. Another two that I've actually previously mentioned in the upcoming books I'm excited for video, I'll leave that linked somewhere below because that's where I go into these books in more depth as well. We have Vampires Never Get Old, which is an anthology written by multiple different authors, and Set Fire to the Gods, which is written by Sarah Rasch. Oh, and Deal with the Devil by Kit Rocha. Another one which I haven't gone around to because of the hype is V.E. Swab's book 2 called Gathering of Shadows in the Shades of Magic trilogy. Now I'm going to butcher this author's name, Andrew Eliopoulos. I want to read his book called The Fascinators. Veronica Roth's Cav the Mac, which is book 1 installment in the series called Cav the Mac. And I also want to read City of Zadai, which is book 2 in Maria V. Snyder's Archives of the Invisible Sword series. I also want to read Diana Wynne Jones's Howl's Moving Castle, followed by the middle grade novel called Dragon Pearl, which is written by Yoonha Lee. I don't even know if we're halfway. Let's keep going. Next up we have Cinder by Marissa Meyer, followed by finally completing Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events series, Mira Grant's Into the Drowning Deep, which is book 1 in the Drowning Deep series, and Trista Mathia's poetry collection called Aphrodite Made Me Do It. I'm not too sure why I've got it in fantasy, but when I was adding it to my list, Goodreads said it was part of that genre, so obviously I just trusted Goodreads. Next up is a book I was actually recommended by a follower over on my Bookstagram, and this one is called The Unspoken Name, written by A.K. Blackwood. On this list, another one by Jay Kristoff is Empire of the Vampire, which is book 1 in a series. I do not know how many books are in that series. Next up, after that though, is A Phoenix Must Burn, which is written by Patrice Caldwell. Next is Nan Higgins's The Mortician's Daughter, which is book 1 in the series, followed by Circe by Madeline Miller. I remember this one was quite popular on BookTube a couple of years ago. I want to delve into some Robin Hobb, starting with Assassin's Apprentice, which is book 1 in the Farseer series. In fact, I'm pretty sure that one's a trilogy. And then some middle grade, I want to read the Artemis Fowl series. I have never read it, and I think that is just not atrocious. Some compassion for past me, and I just never read them, but it's time now to actually read them. Next up is Bridget Collins's The Binding, followed by When the Moon Was Ours, written by Anna Marie McLemore. I then want to read The Rise of Kyoshi, which is a graphic novel, which is written by F.C. Yee. Anna Maddow, No Man of Woman Born. Audrey Coultthurst of Fire and Stars. A Curse So Dark and Lonely. This is one that I have heard the name of multiple times, and it is written by Bridget Kemmerer. Margaret Rogerson, Sorcery of Thorns. Amy Kaufman, Aurora Rising. Marissa Meyer, Renegades. Susan Dennard, Truth Witch, Book 1 in the Witchlands series. Astrid Schulte, I hope I'm saying that right, 4 Dead Queens. Nina Varella's Pariah's War, which is Book 1 in a series also. Patrick Ness's Release. Philip Pullman's Les Belles Sauvages. I don't know why I did a weird little accent thingy there. Let's just move on. I want to read Fire and Blood, which is a George R.R. Martin book. I loved the Game of Thrones series, and I just want to make sure that as much as possible I understand and have read about the world. Samantha Shannon's The Priory of the Orange Tree. I have no idea what this one is about, but I remember Peru's Project reading it, seeming to enjoy it, so I added it to my list. Cassandra Clare's The Red Scrolls of Magic. Tamsin Moore's Gideon the Ninth. I actually have it on my TBR, just out of the screen. So hopefully I can get to that one soon. Rivers Solomon the Deep. Another one I actually have right here. I want to read some more Brandon Sanderson. I say more, I have just started this series and finished book 1, but I really liked it, so I do want to eventually get around to his other series of the Stormlight Archives, and that starts with The Way of Kings. Evan Winter, The Rage of Dragons. Shelby Mahrin's Blood and Honey, which is book 2, the Serpent and Dove duology. Kester Grant's A Court of Miracles. Katie O'Neill, The Tea Dragon Society. I've heard that's a really, really cute read. Philip Pullman's The Golden Compass. No, I have not read this. Another one where it just completely drained through. I don't know, I must have had like a sieve with massive holes when I was like in middle grade and at the beginning of high school, because I never read this one. Alicia Jasinska's The Dark Tide. Roseanne A. Brown's A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. I keep wanting to say Wrath. I think that's another book somewhere. Andrea Robertson, Forged in Fire and Stars. Drew Magary's The Hike. I've heard that one is quite a weird one, and it's another one I actually put on there because of Books and Lala. Alexandra Ross's Don't Call the Wolf. This is such a cute cover. Marie Lu, The Kingdom of Back. Sarah Beth Durst's Race the Sands. Jim Butcher's Stormfront, which is book 1 in the Dresden Files. And I've heard this has a really good mystery element as well as fantasy, so I am intrigued. Kim Liggett's Blood and Salt. Jonathan Straham's A Book of Dragons. Oh, I'm gonna butcher this. Andrzej Sapkowski, Blood of Elves. This is the whole Witcher thing. I watched season 1 of Witcher and loved it, and I cannot wait for the next season, so I'm just gonna eventually get around to reading all the books. Cami Garcia's Beautiful Cute blah 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 Beautiful Creatures. I feel like almost every high school girl I know, or like of this kind of generation, read this when they were younger, and I've got such mad FOMO. I want to know what it was about, so that's on my list. All right, we're over here. We've swapped sides. And if you are still here, thank you. We are well past halfway now, so let me just keep firing through them. Cinder Williams Cheeman, the Demon King. Brent Weeks, The Black Prism. Robert Jordan, The Eye of the World, which is book 1 in the Wheel of Time series. Mary Webber's To Best the Boys. Erin Craig's The House of Salt and Sorrow. Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist. Annabelle Chase, Curse a Day. This is a spellbound middle grade book. Rebecca Podos, The Wise and the Wicked. Chloe Benjamin, The Immortalists. Dan Herring, The Star Shepherd, which is another middle grade. And Leigh Bardugo's short story collection, which is called The Language of Thorns, Midnight Tales and Dangerous Magic. Sorry guys, this lighting was driving me insane. We are working with the Ball of Fire in the Sun. Next up we have Amber Sparks and I Do Not Forgive You and Other Revengers. Patrick Rothfuss, The Name of the Wind, which is book 1 in a series called The King Killer Chronicle. Erica Johansson, The Queen of the Tearling. Ray Carson, The Girl of Fire and Thorns. Mary E. Pearson, The Kiss of Deception. Megan Turner, The Thief. Sarah Gailey, When We Were Magic. Nevo, The Empress of Salt and Fortune. Emily Tesh, Silver in the Wood. Brianna Morgan's Livingston Girls. And last, but very not least, Catherine Addison, The Angel of Crows. Now I know this list is massive. If you want to have a look at these books, go and visit them in their Goodreads. It's always a really good source and way to organise your books. If you liked this video, please consider leaving a cheeky like and subscribe down below. Thank you for making it this far, and enjoy all the places you go in your own reading adventures. See you in the next one. Bye.